climbing, I'm losing my grip. Storage costs rising, they'll never let me skip. Refunds I'm eating, returns pile up too. Oh, Amazon, what else will you do? I look at my dashboard, my profits erased. My margins are gone, it's a slap in the face. Prime Day's a promise, but it's such a race. How much will I make if I'm replaced? It's a cruel, cruel number. Fees keep climbing, profits torn asunder. Oh, it's cruel, the sellers wonder how to survive when the margins go under. It's a cruel, cruel number. Every month it's something new to plunder. Oh, it's cruel, it's no wonder we're stuck in this game. The algorithm's thunder.
Yo, Amazon's back, and they got a new scheme. Reimbursement slashed, it's every seller's dream. They're digging deep, taking more from the pot. Let's break it all down, expose what they got. March 25, it's a policy drop. They say manufacturing costs, but we know it's a flop. Give us your cogs, they're demanding the price. But if you don't, they'll estimate nice. Nice for them, not for you. Watch a payout shrink. That comprehensive evil is a corporate wing. Lost in the warehouse, damaged on the floor. Now they pay you pennies, not a cent more. Fees on the rise, profits on the run. They don't lift a finger, but they pocket the fun. We're fair! They shout while they cut our shares. Amazon math, man, it's full of errors. Fees, taking our dough. They're stacking the deck, and it's sellers who owe. Reimbursement? Nah, they're taking us down, but we're still here, we don't mess around. Fees, straight to the top. Amazon's game, it'll never stop. Margins tight, but we keep the grind. Sellers unite, we're one of a kind.
I try to sell my product on Amazon, thought it'd be a breeze. But little did I know I'd be stuck with seller support disease. They never seem to solve my problems, just give me the runaround. I'm tired of waiting on hold. My patience is wearing thin, I'll never be found. Amazon seller support, you suck, you suck, you suck. Can't get no satisfaction. I'm out of luck, out of luck, out of luck. You don't care about my business, just trying to make a buck. Amazon seller support, you suck, you suck, you suck.
This one's for the sellers on the grind, getting left on red, wasting all their time. I hit up support, got an auto reply. Thanks for your patience, man, I wanna cry. Inventory lost, my margins are toast. Reps playing tag like the Casper the Ghost. They pass me around, it's a never-ending game. Nobody takes action, everybody shifts blame. My ASIN's down, I'm out of the race. They say they'll escalate, yo, what a disgrace. Amazon seller support, you're breaking my heart. No answers, no fixes, just tearing me apart. Hours in the queue, stuck in the dark. Amazon seller support, you're missing the mark.
Amazon game plan, that is the key. Seller central dashboard, that's where I be. Analyze the funnel, see what we lack, then we optimize. Sellers know it's a fact. I get it poppin', you know that it's lit. Climbing the rankings, ain't no room to quit. I check the data, they notice the stats. I keep the method, that's how you adapt. Metrics are showing, you know it's our cap. Amazon sellers, it's time to react. I'm about that action, I do this with passion. I got them like, whoa, what is this? Huh, whoa.
I don't know, dude. I think everybody's just buying stuff based on reviews and badges or whatever. They don't even know who we are. These customers don't even know the name of my brand. But they keep clicking add to cart like it's part of the plan. They see that Amazon badge and think it's all grand. But yo, they don't even know the name of my brand.
Click, scroll, build your store. Amazon's waiting, what you waiting for? Brand it loud, make it shine. Steven's here to drop the rhyme. Blue tiles, banners, plug and play. Your storefront's live, let's sell a day. Now listen up, I'm Steven Pope, Amazon guru, I'll help you cope. Step 1, get that trademark stamped. Without brand registry, your Amazon cramped. Head to Seller Central, log in quick. Manage stores tab, yeah, that's the trick. Upload your logo, flex that style. You're about to make Jeff Bezos smile. Where pick a template, marquee or grid. Drop your tiles like a branding whiz. Hero image, big and bold. This store's gonna glitter like digital gold. Click, scroll, build your store. Amazon's waiting, what you waiting for? Brand it loud, make it shine. Steven's here to drop the rhyme. Blue tiles, banners, plug and play. Your storefront's live, let's sell today. Yo. In the trenches of the Amazon game, trying to survive while it's driving me insane. Nobody warns you, they just claim it's passive income. Nah, it's pain. I'm sitting at a birthday, laughing, chilling, next to a newbie Amazon seller spilling. She's like, Prime so smooth, it's a killer. Then tried to sell, now she's stuck in a thriller. Finding products, yeah, that's the first grind. Scrolling Alibaba, losing my mind. Sample suck, manufacturers decline. I'm like, dang, how's anyone doing this fine? Ship it in, pay for the bubble wrap, but they ship glass bottles in padded crap. Now I got hot sauce leaks, refund stacked, customers pissed. Man, I'm under attack. Amazon's a beast, it's a fight, no peace. From SEO to PPC, the hustle don't cease. Think it's passive? Nah, you better increase your tolerance for chaos or face defeat. Trademark wars, brand registry's a scam. They banned my brand, now I'm in a jam. Listings yanked, products ranked and tanked. Lost dogs in the catalog, my account shanked. Now let's talk ads, it's a rabbit hole. 1,000 hours deep, man, it's taking my soul. Weekly negations, bulk sheets for control. Excel's my new weapon, but it's taking its toll. SEO's no joke, keywords in the game. All text, A+ content, playing insane. Lifestyle shots, avatars for fame, but the CTR's low, all products look the same. Amazon's a beast, it's a fight, no peace. From SEO to PPC, from SEO to PPC, the hustle don't cease. Think it's passive? Nah, you better increase your tolerance for chaos or face defeat.
Let's go to Mac School. To Mac School. Class is now in session with Professor Pope.
They got the SOP, cause Professor Pope wrote the recipe, helping Amazon sellers grow sales exponentially. Amazon's a jungle, but we map the strategy. Brand strategist playbook, it's a guide to victory. Troubleshooting catalogs, you know we got the answer key. Boosting all your rankings, turning sales into a legacy. SOB so deep, you'd think we studied at Mac School. Every step we follow leads to growth, yeah, it's a golden rule. Stuck on keywords, we'll find the ones that work the best. Using Helium-10, strike distance keywords past the test. Incremental indexing ensures the listing set to rise. From the back end to the bullets, optimization hits the skies. Brand store creation, yeah, we make it shine and flow. A+ content design makes conversions overflow. Need your images on point, best practices in the plan. All text and photo rules ensure your visuals command. SEO meets PPC, it's balanced, every step aligned. We'll construct the MKLs that drive rankings over time. Budget caps and bid adjustments, no more wasted spending. Segmentation builds campaigns that sellers can defend. Got a hijacker, no problem, we'll file to take them down. Review requests in action, 5-star ratings come around. Flat file updates, market share reports, it's all in reach. Professor Pope wrote the SOP so sellers learn and teach.
Meanwhile, my Amazon guys on the case, fixing up my problems at lightning pace. Ticket escalations, Mag's the boss. Even Amazon says we'll take the loss. Seller support don't know what's up. Passing the buck when the issue gets tough. They're the official team, but they can't comply. So they say, reach out to my Amazon guy. They're supposed to be the pros, but they can't decode policies and tools from their own damn road. I'm paying fees, yet they bring me stress. But Mag turns my chaos into pure success. Seller support reps, they throwing shade, but then admit, yo, Mag will get you paid. Third-party agency taking the throne while Amazon fumbles in their own damn zone. Seller support don't know what's up. Passing the buck when the issue gets tough. They're the official team, but they can't comply. So they say, reach out to my Amazon guy. So here's the truth, let's keep it real. Mag's the team with the pro-level skill. Amazon sellers, you know the vibe when support says call Mag. They'll give you peace of mind. Amazon seller support, you can suck my image stack. Sucking is all you're good at anyway. Bezos, hit me up if you want to sell seller support. I'm buying. There's a Jace. Peace.
All right. You want more PPC sales? Maximize your results. You're in the right place. My name is Kevin Sanderson from My Amazon Guy. I'm the marketing and partnerships guy here at MAG. In addition to that, I've been selling on Amazon for, looking at the date on my computer, over 10 years. It was like early August of 2015. I got my very first sale. I started advertising in early 2016 when I went private label. I started off doing retail arbitrage for those who are uninitiated. So we're going to answer your questions. I see quite a few questions in here, which we'll get to here in just a moment. But I just want to know, where's everybody joining us from? If you don't mind, put that into the chat. We'll get into the questions here momentarily. But I am super excited. And I already see a lot of good questions in here. So make sure to drop those questions into the chat. One thing I will tell you is we tend to run out of time doing these things. So we get to the end and it's like, where did the time go? And it also operates a little bit like high school or college, where the teacher says, hey, does anyone have any questions? And everyone kind of like looks around the room. They don't ask any questions. Nobody says anything. Nobody wants to look foolish. Then all of a sudden people start asking questions, and then the questions just keep popping in. Question. So chances are we're going to have lots of questions towards the end, because that's usually how it works. And if that is the case, then you want to get your question in now so I can answer it for you, because I want to help you out. So, all right, let's get to some of the questions that have popped in here. But before I do, people did do what I asked and say, let us know where they're joining from. Abanoob Ahmad, hopefully I said that right, is joining us from Egypt. Viper 1213, thank you for joining us, from Houston, Texas. Houston, the largest city in the largest state in the continental U.S. size-wise. I grew up in Texas. A little fun fact about Texas, which I'm sure Viper 1213 can relate to. I-10, which I believe runs through Houston, or at least over the top of it. That is the longest stretch of any single highway in one state in the United States. Total fun fact. And some people are from out of the U.S. are like, what are you even talking about? Anyway, I've driven it before. I-10 all the way across Texas. It's quite the drive. Faith and Prayer Line is also joining us from Texas. Where are you from? You know, it's funny. I grew up in Texas, and I grew up in Dallas. And sometimes people say, "Oh, you grew up in Dallas, so and so." Like, dude, there's millions of people. It's a big state. I don't necessarily know everyone that did. And then we've got Mahai Andre Azvath. Hopefully I said that right. Joining us from Romania, and added the punctuation on there. So I love that. That is great. Oh, and then Faith is joining us from McKinney, Texas. McKinney, Texas, when I grew up, probably going to date myself here. Oh, I had something on my, never mind. I thought it was just a speck on the screen, but a piece of pepper on my lip. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, Faith and Prayer Line is joining us from McKinney, Texas. McKinney, Texas was a little tiny city when I was growing up. McKinney, Frisco were tiny towns. Now they're big. They got lots of high schools. But yeah, McKinney's a good town. I grew up in Richardson, which is closer to the Dallas border. In fact, I actually lived in Dallas, but went to high school in Richardson, went to Richardson ISD schools. So anyway, total side note, I know I'm kind of going off on a little bit of a tangent there. So let's get to some questions. So drop your questions into the chat. But one thing I do want to say here real quick is, for those of you who did what I asked and you said where you're from, that this is now closed, so no more opportunity to do that. But those of you who did, email podcast@myamazonguy.com, and we will hook you up with a coupon code for a free $100 MAG School course. You can just go to mag-school.com to see the courses available. So if you email podcast@myamazonguy.com, we will hook you up with a free coupon code for one of those MAG School courses. So, all right, so let's get into the questions, which is why everyone's here. Like, I don't want to hear your story about what towns are bigger than what. So let's get into some stuff. So Abanoob says, yes, correct pronunciation. So All right, so we're gonna get into all your questions about bidding and everything, but I do have one here that I'm gonna skip out of order. I do reserve the right to go out of order, but I generally go for the most part in order. But this one looks somewhat celebratory. Maybe not so much with the frowny face. Let's get into it. One, I just got my account back from deactivation. Congratulations, that's good, but there's an unhappy face following that. So what should be good, you got your account back. It's now starting all over. PPC and ranking are down. Well, you probably haven't been getting sales in those products. So that's why the algorithm's kind of prepping itself, however you want to look at it. I guess priming would be. I've been running deals since Prime Day to boost ranking, but profit was down. I'm currently halfway from 30-day average back up. Should I wait the full 30 days so I can run deals again, but with more margin, or run the deal now to gain ranking? So I'm assuming you're probably talking about coupons. Coupons used to be so easy. You just run them, you change your price, and they just fluctuate, with it. But now it's like there's all these rules. I could not even explain to you like how the coupons work, other than like it's the net price with your coupon has to be lower than your reference price. I'm constantly fighting with trying to figure out coupons, or sometimes they'll tell me there's no reference price, or the reference price needs to be lower or something like that. I'm like, I haven't even lowered the price on this product. I don't know why you're fighting me on this one. And try to do that using their bulk one that doesn't even tell you which product it is. So yeah, anyway, coupons, if anyone from Amazon is watching, there's a lot more we could do to improve the seller experience with coupons, and while still upholding things. But anyway, I guess it's not coupon related, so that's my own gripe that I'm complaining about here. But Viper1213 says I was referring to lightning deals and best deals. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I used to like lightning deals. Honestly, I have not had good luck with a lightning deal in 8 years. I have not run them in a long time. They used to be really good, very effective way to kind of surge your sales, but there's a lot of other things you could be doing. So, a couple of things you might want to try doing is maybe lowering your price. My Amazon guy recommends lowering your price as much as 50% by the price itself. So like not like trying to manipulate with the coupon or whatever, but just like if your target price is 30, lower it to 15. You're probably thinking that's insane. It will spike sales and we'll get the algorithm moving, and then maybe increase it about 10% increments. After you start getting a few sales, increase it a little bit. We have a graphic that says 50. I don't think you necessarily always need to wait 50 because that could be a lot at a loss over time. But the goal is you just start getting some initial sales. It depends on what the overall potential for sales is on that product, is how much you want to spike the algorithm. But if you're looking at a product that has potential for 50 sales a day, maybe a week at lower sales and just stair stepping it every 50 sales you get, maybe do that. If you have a product that has the potential to sell 3 to 5 products a day, maybe you let it get 5 to 10 sales and then increase your price a little bit. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to spike the algorithm. I know it probably sucks because I'm assuming it wasn't your fault, the deactivation. I will assume that it was an error on their part and you're trying to figure out how to get back into the swing of things. And that happens sometimes, but it's the old saying, it may not be your fault, but it is your problem. And so figuring out a way to get back into just at least getting that flywheel going. And it sucks. You lost time and sales, and now you're losing time and sales because you didn't have the account. Now you have the account, but it's not performing the way it was before. And so you're just going to have to work on that. All right. Now back up to some of the original questions. Abanoob says, what is the PPC structure that should use to revive sales on a seasonal product for Halloween season? Oh, that's a good question. So we are getting close to Halloween season. So there's always that meme, at least here in the States, I see like when something closes down, it's like whatever it is with like the, or it was like a Bed Bath and Beyond or something, and people Photoshop the Halloween, whatever that store is, the Halloween store that like they're always in like strip malls and like abandoned spots. I mean, they do it legitimately, of course, but like Spirit Halloween, that's what it is. So like, you know, you kind of have that Spirit Halloween problem of your products. If they're Halloween focused, they probably don't sell a lot outside of the Halloween season. And you probably want to start getting the ball rolling, but you probably have a very small window, not unlike Christmas. Whereas like this year, Christmas is really going to be like 3 weeks from Thanksgiving or Black Friday until about 3 weeks later. So you probably have a similar issue with Halloween related things, but at least start, you know, going after some Halloween keywords. I wouldn't be super aggressive on the bids because you're going to spend a lot of money. There's probably a lot of curiosity, a lot of window shopping. Like why commit to that? Like people are still getting through, whatchamacallit. People are still getting through like back to school right now. So I would go on this is going to sound really weird. I would go on the websites of Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks and look and see when they start their, like on the front page, it's all about their fall drinks where it's like, you know, pumpkin spice lattes and stuff like that. If they're not pushing pumpkin spice lattes, don't go for Halloween ads aggressively. Once they do start going to that, then your next bet is you want to look at, you know, some traditional retailers like Lowe's or Home Depot, which are probably not the best examples, but like or even Amazon. Like, are they starting to, when you start seeing other players in the space have now pivoted to fall, and then they start pivoting to Halloween? That might be a good indicator because I guarantee you all those companies are spending a lot of money trying to figure out the Halloween season. And it's going to be a short window of time. You want to at least kind of get the ball rolling to make yourself relevant going after Halloween keywords. I know your question is more about structure and I'm making this more about timing, but I think you have more of a timing problem than a structure problem. Like you're just going to have to get out there and start going after keywords. I would make sure you have auto campaigns. I would make sure you have broad campaigns. I wouldn't try to like, oh, I want to rank number one, so I'm going to only go after, you know, exact keywords, top of search, just wherever you can get the sales. There's going to be a lot of window shopping. I would also potentially run brand tailored promotion or display ads to people that you're retargeting. That's not going to get you a huge amount of sales, but whenever you have a situation where all of a sudden time turns on people, like right now, everyone, if they're thinking about Halloween, they're like, oh, I got plenty of time. I got plenty of time. I got plenty of time. Come October 23rd, all of a sudden people are like, I'm running out of time. How many weekends are left between now and Thanksgiving, now and Halloween? I need to get a costume. I don't have time to go to Spirit Halloween or whatever the case is. So all of a sudden they're putting it off. And then all of a sudden they got to buy. So if you at least had the traffic that you could try to retarget, that should help you. So I don't know that helps you because you're asking about structure, but I would say make sure you have auto campaigns, broad match targeting, be very conservative with how many negatives you use. Like don't use a lot of negatives, like negative targeting. But I would say more than anything, with a Halloween product, you need to figure out like, and maybe you have the data. If you've been doing this in the past, just look and see like when did the sales spike, then start spiking your bids and whatnot. But I would go relatively low bids because I have some products that I've sold that are Christmas related, not just like giftable, but actually Christmas themed. And, they don't sell well until like right before Thanksgiving. Then all of a sudden it just takes off and then it falls off a cliff as you get close to Christmas. Yours is probably going to be one of those things where, depending on the type of product, and if this is something people could buy quickly and solves a need. So hopefully that helps you. If it's Halloween decor, your season might be earlier. If it's Halloween costumes, I should probably also phrase that. Halloween costumes, you probably have a later season because some people will just wait until like, oh, it says it delivers tomorrow and tomorrow's Halloween. I'll go ahead and order it now. So hopefully that helped. All right. So the question, this probably follow up. I've been getting low sales all year round with nearly no PPC, but there's a competitor who's beating me. I'm starting to have good sales. Well, I had any till now. Is there a strategy I could follow? Yeah. So some of that might just be people interact with different products differently. And so one thing to think about is Halloween. My last name is Sanderson. Well, what is a famous Halloween movie? Hocus Pocus. And there is the Sanderson witches, which is no relation. But I get comments about the Sanderson sisters around Halloween. More people watch it, but people are still watching it throughout the year. Like it's kind of a cult classic, but it's more of a cult classic this time of year, or especially as we get closer to Halloween. So their product might be something that's not just Halloween, but people might just like to watch. Like horror movies, I guarantee, like they all probably get more downloads or rents or whatever the term, views on Netflix or whatever, closer to Halloween. But people still watch it. Oh, sorry, the rest of the year. So you might have something where your competitor's product might lend itself better to rest of year than yours does. And I would probably take a look at why is that? And then maybe you could launch a new product or position yours differently. Look at their A+ content. Like, did they have Halloween specific A+ content in July, in June, or did they have something else that kind of positioned the product a little differently? So just keep that in mind. Did it lend itself well to Prime Day? Did it lend itself to Father's Day? So did they just position it differently? So I would just ask yourself that question. I know you said it's a competitor, so I'm assuming it's probably a very similar product. So it's positioning or the product itself. And did they either position it or is their product perceived for whatever reason by buyers that it's more of an evergreen product that meets whatever niche evergreen thing people are looking for? So hopefully that helped. Layla G Production says, I'm spending on PPC, but sales are still lower and I have to pay out of my pocket. What strategies I should use to follow up for ranking in my product and to get more sales than my competitors? Thank you. That's the magical question. Everybody wants to know, how do I get more sales than my competitor? So a couple things. Are you getting enough reviews? So we're not huge, like, oh my God, just get lots and lots of reviews here at My Amazon Guy. Some of my most popular products that I have on my brand, my own brand, don't have really all that many reviews. Even for products that have been around for 9 years, some of and have sold, tens of thousands of units over the years, might just have, 300-400 reviews or whatever. I should probably check. I'm not constantly checking it. So more than anything, you just want to know, how is it you can beat those competitors? And some of it is, where is the problem? So take a look at whatever keywords you're going after in your search query performance report and look and see, because you can see like your product versus the competitors. How's your click-through rate? So is your click-through rate similar to theirs or better? Is your conversion rate similar to theirs or better? Is the add to cart rate similar or better? So if it's worse, then let's say your conversion rate is good relative to your competition, but your click-through rate is not as good. So that means once you get them on the page, you sell well, but you have a traffic problem. So if you have the traffic problem, what you want to do is figure out, how do I get more traffic? And so PPC is going to give you the impressions, but PPC can't get you the traffic. I mean, ultimately, to get traffic, you have to have impressions, but someone has to physically decide, I'm going to click on your product. And so how can you make your main image better? It's probably the question you want to be asking yourself. So let me share my screen here real quick. And I'm going to go to Amazon. Oh, I have to share the screen first. It's not like I've never done this before. So, all right, share screen. They did move the button on here from what it used to be. But anyway, side note, now that I didn't get lost in what to click on, here's my screen. All right, so when you were searching for a product, let's say we are searching for let's do garlic press. I think garlic press was made famous by my friend Scott Volker, who used to be in the Amazon world. Shout out to Scott Volker. Actually just talked to him this morning. Good guy. But anyway, what we wanted to talk about here is your main image. So when you're looking at this, you got to put yourself in the customer's shoes. Like this product here is purely winning on brand. And they've got this #1 top rated thing going on. So they're winning because they're OXO. That's a big brand. They're in big stores. They're in Bed Bath & Beyond, wherever else. So think about yourself. Okay, this is another OXO. What would be another good one to look at? Okay, so let's say you sell this garlic press and this person sells this garlic press. What is that? You might be saying to yourself, it's only $4.99, so you're winning on price, but let's just say they're not getting, because this one, Zule, which is also a big brand, they're probably winning. Well, they definitely are, because they got 5 times the sales units sold based on this number right here compared to this number here, 400 versus 2,000 in the last month. But like this is not as pleasing. It doesn't remind you what it is. Think about it from a merchandising standpoint. So this one's got the garlic, and I guess it reminds you that you also get a knife or something. But if you scroll down here, here, let's look at an actual garlic press. This thing, I don't know, is that a nutmeg shaker? Like, what is it? Like, you got to remind people what it is. Yes, it says garlic press at the beginning of the title, but people don't read a lot of times. So you got to remind them, like here, it's got like, oh, okay, it's got garlic coming out. I would have a clove of garlic in the background if you can. I don't really see a lot of cloves of garlic, but you can see it. You start getting down here. Okay, Cuisinart. So that's a brand. I have no idea who this company is and why on earth would anyone pay $65 for that one? This one might be running out of product and they just jacked up the price to slow it down. But here's a good example here. They're not trying to remind you it's garlic press with garlic. They're telling you with words. I will bet money if you were to buy this one here, the box does not actually even look like that. They just wrote garlic press and peeler set because that was probably a keyword they wanted to go after. Let's see if that is the case. So if I scroll down here, let's see if anyone has a box. No, I don't see boxes. Now, some people might be saying, can I really have a box of my product that doesn't match what the person's going to get? Let me show you one that has never let me down. It could be letting me down this time, but has never let me down. An example, toothpaste. I can pretty much guarantee you there's not a yellow stripe on these ones that say value 3-pack if you receive it. And I guarantee no one cares. Scrolling down, let's see if I can find my favorite one. Oh, here's this one. In fact, I have it at home. In fact, I'm almost out of the first of the 6 tubes. How do you know it's a pack of 6? Because they literally tell you it's 6 tubes. So I've got 5 more waiting for me. I probably need to go to the second one here soon. But you can see this one says pack of 6. It's reminding the person very quickly. And I can tell you, as someone that got it, this product, I did not receive in what looks like a moving box with poor Photoshop skills the word pack of 6 and the Colgate logo. It was shrink wrapped. And if you look here, who is selling this product? Ships from Amazon.com, sold by Amazon.com. This is a first party Amazon product. Amazon's in control of this listing. And they're using the same strategy. And as I showed you before, there was a lot that had yellow banners that said value pack 3. I guarantee it doesn't say that. I shouldn't say I guarantee. I will bet lunch at Chipotle, it does not say that. So just keep that in mind. And then as you scroll down here, like people will have pictures of what they got and it's shrink wrapped. Guess what they didn't do? They didn't say 1 star. It was not the packaging I was expecting. Now, if it's giftable and people want the packaging as part of the gift, you got to be a little bit more careful. But we have found that oftentimes having a product where, as long as you're not deceiving the customer, make it seem like they're getting something they're not, you're just helping them know what it is. It's worth testing, a primary keyword or some sort of value proposition on the product packaging itself. And this, it's doing well for Colgate because $20,000 units bought the last month. So if they're all sold at about, let's just call it $10, that's $20,000 in sales, or sorry, $200,000 in sales, making this an about $2.5 million a year product at less than $10. And they have what I think is really not a very well done main image, but it works. So if you're not getting, going back to your question, if you're not getting the sales, look at your product. Is it a conversion problem or is it a traffic problem? I will bet money it's probably a traffic problem. And so what can you do to improve it? And you can always run a PickFu test with your current image compared to what you're going for, or your image compared to one of your competitors. Do a click test. They have all kinds of different ways you could do that. So shout out to the folks at PickFu. Definitely recommend trying that. And then if you are doing well with your click-through rate, then your issue is your conversion rate. And so what can you do to improve that conversion rate? And so what questions do people have? Now, if you don't have a ton of sales to know what questions people have, you don't have a lot of questions on your listing, look at some of your competitors to see what questions do they have in the questions. And then also, what did people complain about in the 1-star reviews? And that'll help point you to things you could improve on. Because if you can show that like your product does this, or if there's any sort of confusion, which causes people to return the product. So look at voice of the customer, look at your return reports. What were people saying? And then maybe that's something you could position in your copy, which some people just go ahead and say, I'll just buy it. And then they're frustrated and they return it. But also at the same time too, some of those same people might have, or people that might have the same question, sometimes don't buy and they don't convert because it wasn't communicated to them. So we always have to take ourselves out of our own shoes and look at the shoes from the eyes of the customer, and both, quantitatively looking at reports of, click-through rate and all that, but also qualitatively by what people are asking. So hopefully that helped. All right, getting on to some more questions here. Faith and Prayer Line. My product on Amazon is making organic sales, but no sales on ads, despite all effort, bid optimization. Research keywords, over 230,000 impressions, but just 100 clicks. What else can I do? So this is an interesting problem to have. You're doing well with organic sales, but not ads. So one of the examples I like to give is markers. This is a dry erase marker. Now, if I target the word marker, I'm not going to see much dry erase markers. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. So what you want to do is look at, maybe instead of like going after keywords that just have lots and lots of impressions, you want keywords that are lots and lots relevant, which is not grammatically correct to say, but you want keywords that are very relevant to your product and the buyer's search intent. So let me just use my marker example, is that I see this mistake a lot, and it's not with markers. It could be with anything, but markers is a good analogy. So if I go back to Amazon and I just look up markers. So markers is very broad. So you've got, actually you do have a dry erase marker here. But you have Sharpies, you have acrylic markers. This is more of like a crafting marker. This is more of a crafting marker. This is back to school type markers. This is more crafting hobbyist marker. This is, hobbyist marker for coloring. Amazon's dry erase. No, I'm using the example of dry erase marker. Notice how the only dry erase markers we've seen so far have been Amazon Basics. So scrolling down here, I don't see anything that's not an Amazon Basics for dry erase marker. And I would imagine and usually when I do this exercise, dry erase marker doesn't even show up on there, but it could be teachers are buying and schools are buying dry erase markers because it's back to school. Or people are buying the dry erase markers because it was on the list of things they're supposed to buy for the teacher. So, okay, we get down here to Expo markers. These are dry erase. So I didn't see a lot of dry erase markers. Here's some dry erase markers. So we had to go really down low on page 1 to get that. Whereas if we look up dry erase, there's sets of dry erase markers, but let's say we just have ones that are just purple. So yeah, there's black dry erase markers, sets of different colors, sets of blue, the same one we saw before. But let's say we sell purple. So if I was to say purple dry erase markers, okay, now it's a whole page just full of purple. So ask yourself, where is on that spectrum of markers to dry erase markers to purple dry erase markers, where is your product and how specific is your product? Because if you're not getting the sales from PPC despite getting the impressions, the chance of the situation is the issue is targeting. So it sounds like a targeting issue. And I see that people do this all the time. They're like, oh, but like this keyword, it's an important keyword. It's markers, but I've got a purple dry erase marker. It's a very niche product. So if you have a more niche product, you go more niche keywords. Now, maybe you don't have to be quite as niche as purple dry erase markers, but you want to look at what are some of those keywords that are going to be super specific, and then start branching out a little bit from there. So from purple dry erase markers, then maybe you go to dry erase markers, and then maybe something adjacent. And then maybe once you've got the sales rolling in, maybe you try something like markers. And in almost every niche, there's something like that where it's the broad keyword and then more specific, more specific, more specific. And more specific means longer tail. Longer tail means more words associated to it in a very simplistic sense. But ultimately, you want to go that direction and focus less on your impressions and more on relevancy, because Amazon's probably showing you a lot and people aren't clicking on it. And that's not a good sign to the algorithm in general. And it's, to me, sounds like the issue is with your targeting. If you're getting at least some clicks, because let me just pull out my handy dandy calculator here real quick. So if you are getting 100 clicks by 200, that's I'm going to do the math. That's a really low click-through rate too. So you have a really low click-through rate and you're not getting the sales. I would scrap the strategy. I mean, you could still go after those keywords, but like you're going to have to go after longer keywords, and don't worry as much about like, how much, what is the volume? What is the potential? What is the potential that somebody looks at that keyword and they're like, that is exactly what I need. And don't try to go after keywords just because there's more volume of searches. You can always niche out, so to speak, but you want to niche in first. All right. Abanoob says, can I ask you what is the right structure for awareness PPC campaigns? So yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of times when people talk about awareness campaigns, they're talking about demand generation campaigns. So we did an analysis here at MAG, and let me see if I can find it. We did an analysis of all the, hundreds of millions of dollars that we've spent on ads over the years for our clients. And what is the breakdown? So sponsored products is very much, it's not awareness. It's a purchase campaign. It's a direct call to action. Awareness is going higher up the funnel. And so awareness only makes sense if your issue is you've exhausted all of the existing demand that's on the platform. Now, in your case earlier, we talked about how your product was related to Halloween. So having a Halloween related product means you probably don't have to worry about awareness at this point in time. I would venture to say maybe you want to make your brand awareness a little bit more as you get closer to Halloween, just to squeeze all the lemon out of that juice. But right now the juice isn't very ripe, or the lemon isn't very ripe. So let me see if I can find that. Oh yeah, I see it here. All right, let me share my screen here. All right, so this is an allocation of what we've done at MAG over the years. And so 89% of what we've spent is on sponsored products for our clients, 9% on sponsored brands, and 2% on sponsored display. Display and brands is a little bit more of an awareness play, where sponsored products is very much direct response. This is the keyword. Do you want it or not? Essentially. I would say you want to put most of your budget there. Go after keywords that are relevant, because you haven't hit the ceiling of there's only so many people searching for what is relevant to your products, and they're just not searching yet, because if it's Halloween related, it's just not important to them yet. So I wouldn't worry too much about awareness. Awareness is not your problem. Demand is your problem, and there's not enough demand, which I guess maybe you could do an awareness play. Test out some sponsored brands. I would probably do sponsored brand video more than anything, and see if that helps. But you could just be like, hey, Valentine's Day is going to be here in 6 months. Why aren't you buying stuff for your wife, your husband, your significant other? And people are just going to ignore it. You know what I mean? So it's awareness could help, but it might be, I know Valentine's Day is an extreme example, because we're as far away from Valentine's Day as we will be all year. But yeah, I would say you probably, I wouldn't worry too much about awareness. I would focus on sponsored products and how can you maximize as much out of sponsored products, and then maybe do some, displaying a little bit of brands, maybe budget 10%. But I wouldn't go much above that. All right. Mahai Andre says, do you recommend using bid by placement in Amazon PPC? If yes, how should I approach that? I'm not really that big of a fan of placements. I know some people love it, but at the end of the day, are you getting the sales? Then stick with that. The challenge is that if you want to go hard on placements, everyone goes after top of search and everyone else is bidding on it. Maybe you do a top of search bid modifier, see if that helps you. But, unless you have software to do it, and there's certain software tools that will almost lock you in, because it would be almost impossible to do it on your own with the way they structure their campaigns. But I would say just, I'm not a huge fan of placements, just because at the end of the day, get the sales wherever you can get the sales. And some of it too is depending on how long you've been selling. Your initial sales might come from product pages and rest of search, and you might not get a lot of bites of the apple at top of search, except maybe for very long tail keywords that are super specific. So that's my advice. I wouldn't worry too much about placements. You could test a modifier and see if that helps. Modifiers, of course, at the campaign level. So all the keywords in that campaign will come to that, and they don't really give you a lot of data. So you would, so unless it's like, this is like my number one keyword I have to go after, based on the fact that you're not getting the impressions you should have because you have the data to support this keyword converts well, but I'm just not getting the top of search impressions I'd like, then maybe you try that in its own campaign with a high top of search or whatever the best modifier is that you're not getting the impressions for, and maybe test it out there. But I wouldn't, on the scale of things to focus on, I would spend more time optimizing your listing and looking for more relevant keywords and finding negatives, looking at your targeting tab for year to date and lifetime to find keywords that just aren't converting. I would focus more on those things than I would on placements. All right. Daria says, how to find the perfect bid. Is there something like a perfect bid? No. So if you've ever heard the phrase, it's like hitting a moving target. It's like hitting a moving target. So a couple things to keep in mind. There's things you could do to try to get at least a baseline. One of the things I like to do is, if you have enough data, this tends to work better at a longer time horizon, but it's a constantly fluctuating thing. It's that moving target. You've got different competitors. One runs out of stock, new one comes in house. All of a sudden, this other one, they got shared on TikTok and they're viral, and all of a sudden they're getting tons of traffic. And so they're climbing the rankings, and Amazon changes some of the algorithms. Everything's constantly moving. And so who gets the bids and what amount, it's not a pure auction. It's not like, you see like the videos of, the cattle house auctions where they're, auctioning a cow or a car or something like that. And, someone's raising their hand, that type of thing. Like, it's not like that. It's an algorithm making decisions that are not 100% just based on price. It's price based on relevancy and likely to convert into a sale. So those are all things that Amazon is looking at. So there is no perfect bid. So it's constantly changing. But what you could do, that I was starting to allude to earlier, is, let's say you have a product that you've had 100 clicks and it's gotten, let's say $1,000 in sales. So that would be $10 per click is your revenue per click. It's probably very generous. Let's change that up a little bit. Let's say $300 in sales and you've had 100 clicks. So that's $3 every time someone clicked on your ad. On average, you made $3 in sales. This doesn't work if you've had 3 clicks and then all 3 people bought, because your next 3 clicks might not perform the same. But if you've had 100 clicks, theoretically, the next 100 clicks should perform about the same, as long as all the other variables are the same. It's not like the season just ended, or there's a event in time like Christmas or Halloween that's or back to school or whatever, some sort of seasonality to it. But if everything else is relatively the same, your next 100 clicks should perform the same way your last 100 clicks did. So if you had let's say, revenue per click of $3 per click, so $300 revenue divided by 100 clicks, $3 revenue per click, you could say, okay, my target ACoS is 20%. So then you would say 20% of $3 is 60 cents. So I can spend up to 60 cents and hit my target ACoS of 20%. Now, 20% might be kind of aggressive. So maybe you say, I'm willing to go with a 40% ACoS. So $3 revenue per click times 40% ACoS. So 3 times 40% is $1.20. So you could spend up to $1.20 per click and still meet your your goal of, 40% or whatever the case is, if your next 100 clicks perform like the last 100 clicks. And again, very dynamic. It's not just a static environment. There's a lot of changes you're making, changes your competition's making, the algorithm's making changes. All these things are, happening at the speed of the internet. So that at least gives you some sort of baseline. Amazon's going to also tell you their recommendations. I almost never look at them. I tend to find those recommendations are based on their profit line, not my profit line. Amazon is not your enemy. But at the end of the day, your goals and objectives overlap with Amazon's goals and objectives. Everybody wants to get sales on the platform, but they're not aligned. So they have their own KPIs and metrics that they're going after, and you have yours. And so you could use theirs as like a baseline as well. So hopefully that helps you with a little bit with bidding, assuming you have a product that has previous history. Amazon's recommended bid can also help you if there's not previous history. So, all right. J.R. Gamatin says, how do you audit an Amazon account? So, great question. Actually, if you go to, well, you're on our YouTube channel. So if you go to our YouTube channel, go to videos and just search in audit. Noah Wickham did it was either the end of last year or earlier this year. I forget. He did a video on how he audits a PPC account, and that would be a good one for you if you're looking for our way of doing things, and a shameless plug to our other content. Daria says, how crazy is the clothing category and any learnings? So clothing, everybody's clothes fits differently. That's the problem. Unless you're selling a hat that's adjustable, or, I was gonna say coats, but even coats, are dependent on the size of the person. So clothing is hard because you generally have color variations, different styles or whatever. And you also have sizes. So sometimes you just pick the sizes that work the most, and those are the ones you target as far as for ads. And then people maybe just pick the size when they get to the product. Because Amazon's only going to show one variation for that particular product for that ad. But yeah, clothing is a tough one. I will say that. So I don't know if I provided much value to you there other than to agree with you. Jamar says, what do you do if there's only 1 or 2 search term or keywords that converts on your product? I would figure out, is there something else that's not that you're missing? So is it you have a problem with your click-through rate? Is it a problem with your conversion rate? There's chances are there's other keywords that should work. So you want to see if you can find other keywords maybe you weren't going after. Then the other thing you can do is you have 1 or 2 that are doing really well. Go all in. So this is one where maybe you do want to focus on placements. You want to focus on placements, like make sure that you have different than traditional, what people say with placements, but like sponsored brand video, that you have sponsored display, you have sponsored brands, formerly headline ads. You have those for targeting those keywords, and see if that helps you get more. Then you want to also take a look at maybe running single keyword campaigns, and those you go after targets. So in this case, it's not like you have like this long tail of keywords, some of them are working. Look at that. And then also look at your search term report and just make sure that there's not search terms that are actually getting all these. So if you're going after markers, you're showing up for purple dry erase markers. Now target purple dry erase markers independently, or whatever those relevant keywords are for you. So hopefully that makes sense. Viper 1213 says, any different strategies for Prime big deals this year? I'm not focusing on it at all, to be honest. Prime, I haven't even looked. Are they doing another Prime Day? I should probably know this, but if they're doing another Prime event in the fall, which they usually do, try to kick things off before the Christmas holiday to fill in some of the time, at least get people talking. It could be a way to at least spike the algorithm for you. So I know you were saying before that you were having issues after having gotten your account back. Maybe try some deals the next time they run a Prime themed event. Shaquille Khan says, hello, dear. I am started PPC auto compete 2 weeks, but no clicks, not sales. So if you're not getting clicks and you're not getting sales, it could be an issue with you need to increase your bid. So maybe your bid's not high enough. Maybe Amazon doesn't understand your product well enough. So I would also, says you started PPC auto. Hopefully you're also running broad. So you should have some keywords that, if you're using, let's say, Cerebro and Helium 10 to figure out your relevant competitors, what keywords are they showing up for, and maybe go after those keywords. Go after new keywords. Just when you go into Amazon Ads Manager and you're looking at the targets for your ad or for your ad group, look and see, are there additional keywords that you think are at least worth trying? Try some of those. But then also take a look at it. If you're not getting clicks and you're not getting sales, you have both a conversion problem. Well, I guess you don't really know if you have a conversion problem if you're not getting clicks. You have a click-through rate problem. So take a hard look in the mirror. It sometimes can be a tough pill to swallow. What can you do differently with your main image? Take a critical look. If you were in a customer's shoes, would you click your main image versus the competitors that they are currently buying, assuming this is a product that there's some demand for? So that would be my advice. All right. John Klein says, love this. Well, thank you for being here. Glad to have you. Mohammed Etsasham says, sir, what's your opinion? If the sales are good, can we change a bidding strategy to reduce cost? What you suggest? When you say bidding strategy, you mean like, are you going up and down, go to down only? I hate up and down, to be honest. I shouldn't say hate up and down. I am more of a fan of down only. I know some people love fixed bids because they feel like that gives them more control. I'm not a huge fan of that necessarily, but try it if that's what you're talking about with bid strategy. So hopefully that helped you. There's more context here. Can you tell me what the best strategy for launching a new product? Should we go aggressive or should we go with average bidding strategy? Sometimes you got to go a little aggressive to at least prime the algorithm, at least get your algorithm, because you have a chicken and egg problem, the flywheel effect, so to speak. In order to get impressions, you have to have sales, but in order to get sales, you have to have impressions. So sometimes you have to buy your way to the front of the line with more impressions. So that might be the way you want to go. And then Viper 1213 says, how do you audit a PPC ad company? Do the same thing. I told someone earlier, go on our channel, look up the video that Noah Wickham did earlier in the last 12-ish months. So if you just look at videos and just scroll down, or if there's a search, I think on YouTube for the channel, search for audit, just search for the word audit, or just type in my Amazon guy audit. And you should see a video where we show how we would audit. And then if you have a PPC ad company, I'm assuming they're running yours, or if you're thinking about hiring a company and you want to know how they work, couple things you could do is you could go on Trustpilot, look and see what people said. That gives you some clue. See if there's anyone you know who has worked with them. Ask those people. So those are things you could do. And then you could also, if you can figure out who the person is in Trustpilot, which is not always clear, and figure out a way to find them on LinkedIn or Facebook, and just say, hey, I saw you left this review a year ago on company XYZ. Do you still think that, is your experience still the same, whether it's good, bad, and different? And ask them that question. That I've never heard of people doing, but that I would imagine like people would probably love to talk to you if they're passionate, whether good or bad. And so that might be a way to audit as well. But it's going to be hard because if you don't know the person, most people aren't going to say, oh, well, here's all my ad reports. Take a look at what they did for me. No, they'll probably give you broad strokes generalities, but hopefully that helps. Hans Janke, hopefully I said that right. Hello, is there a general formula to get a bid from zero? All right. So yes. So talked earlier a little bit about bidding, but in this case, we're starting from zero. So one thing you could do is figure out, okay, what is my desired conversion rate and what is my desire? And sometimes you just have to pick something just to come up with for the sake of math. And you could use a spreadsheet to play with different scenarios. But you figure out, okay, what is my conversion rate? And, what is my desired ACoS? So if you want to figure out, like, okay, if my conversion rate is a 12% conversion rate, you take 1 divided by 0.12. So 1 divided by 12%, it's going to be roughly 8. So that means if you have a 12% conversion rate, that means every 8 clicks, you would get a sale. So if you wanted to say, okay, for 8 clicks, I get a sale, then you take the price of your product, figure out what is your revenue per click. So if, let's say your price of your product is $20, so 20 divided by 8, that is going to be $2.50. So theoretically, every time someone clicks on your listing, you make $2.50. So if your desired ACoS is, let's say, 30%, so 30% of $2.50 is 75 cents. So that might give you a little bit of leeway, hoping you at least have a goal with what your conversion rate is. And you're like, I don't know my conversion rate, it's just 10%. So it makes the math easier too, because 1 out of every 10 clicks would be a conversion. So figure out, revenue per click. So hopefully that makes sense. So figure out conversion rate. 1 divided by conversion rate is number of clicks to get a sale. Selling price divided by clicks it takes to get a sale is now going to give you your revenue per click. Revenue per click, theoretically, your theoretical revenue per click times desired ACoS at least gives you something. And you can always start with that and then go up or down as, if you're not getting impressions, raise it up a little bit, see what happens. Because some of this is all based on hypothetical. Everything works on a spreadsheet until you get out there. It's like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So you don't know until you get punched in the mouth by actually spending money. And so you might find some keywords work much better than you thought. And you actually have more that you could bid on because they convert better or whatever the case is than other keywords. You're like, this is a slam dunk. This is totally describing my product. And it just doesn't sell well. It just is what it is. But you got to at least pick something as a line in the sand. Then Amazon's going to also make suggestions. I'm not always a huge fan of their suggestions, but do that exercise. Compare what I just said to what Amazon gives you as their suggested bids and see how close are they. That would be my suggestion. All right. I think I got time for one more. Daria says, what do you think about Amazon DSP? I think it's great if you're spending enough money. So we can help folks with DSP, but DSP is not for beginners, and you really need to have a brand, and you need to have hit the ceiling on every bit of juice you can squeeze out of sponsored products, sponsored brands, sponsored display. And you need to, DSP is demand side platform. You need to drum up more demand. You need to go out there. It's like sponsored products is like you have a booth at a fair and people walk up to you and say, hey, I'm looking for a cup. I see you sell cups. Like, it's very transactional. It meets what they're looking for. And it's a fair with cups, like an outdoor festival or something. Whereas sponsored display is, you have people driving by and you're holding up a sign that says, hey, I've got cups over here. Come into the parking lot, park, and then go into the festival and go get cups. As you can see, that's not the most efficient, and it's not going to get you to get from people to point A to point B as fast. But if you have enough demand inside the party, so to speak, you just need to get more people into the party. And that's kind of what DSP does. It helps drum up more demand. And so it tends to work well for products that are higher price, products that have a high lifetime value of a customer, like supplements, where they're purchasing on and on again. But if I don't remember if the person had asked that question, because they'd asked a question earlier, I don't remember if they were new. It's definitely not a new person. Like if you're new to Amazon ads, it's not something that you want to just say, hey, I want to go into DSP. You want to work your way into it. And I say that as an agency that would love to take on more DSP clients, but we also don't want to tell people that like, oh yeah, DSP is going to solve all your issues. It's not. It's a tool for the right circumstances. And so you just want to make sure, again, that you've exhausted. In most sellers, you're better off improving your conversion rate, improving your click-through rate, finding more keywords, improving your sponsored products, sponsored brands, sponsored display, running at about 89% allocation of sponsored products, 9% sponsored brands, sponsored display about 2%. And this is based on data from hundreds of millions of dollars that's been spent over the years at MAG for our clients. So, all right, with that, it was fun. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Join us on the next one. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, please do, and take care.